Hello, Canucks fans, and welcome back to another episode of the Canucks Conversation, delivered to you by the great folks at DoorDash.
Ding dong.
Use promo code CONVODD, capital C, capital D's, all one word, CONVODD. That will get you 25% off and free delivery on your first order with the DoorDash app. Does not get much better than that, folks. My name is Dave Quadrelli. I'm joined, as always, by the man who built the place, Chris Faber. Our technical producer is Alex Allard, high above Rogers Arena on a stormy Vancouver Thursday.
What's going on out there with the birds? Bird watch out there.
I was telling you, this is the Canucks Conversation.
Yeah. Ding dong.
The birds out, ding dong. The birds out there. I was looking. They can't keep their direction. They're flying, and it looks like they're going straight, and then they're just you can see them getting picked up by the wind. I know I'm explaining this poorly, but everybody's seen it. Everybody knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, a lot of birds out there struggling. And
I was struggling. I was walking here.
Yeah.
Right? Walking up to your front door, and I'm getting blown back by the wind a little bit.
That's the problem with being 140 pounds. It's the wind can get you at any point. You ever been on the ferry, the ferry to the Vancouver Island, and you ever go up on top when it's a real windy day? That's as hard as the wind can get you there.
Well, yeah, that's what it felt like. It felt like I was on the ferry.
By the way, back my head update, looking a little bit better today. Maybe a little more hair is helping, but when it was freshly skinned, that the credit card slip, that's where I get paid from Nation Network. They swipe it through there, but it looks a little bit better today.
Okay.
No, never mind. If I lean back, it looks horrible again.
Early on, I wanted to get to the chat because Jaakko Ricola, who's been a regular on the show, said wifey demands I spend more time with her and less time with Faber and Quads. So sorry, boys. I'll have to catch this one later. But that's what the podcast is for.
That's a business decision.
That is a business decision. We absolutely respect it.
I do like Lisa's in the chat too. Happy ? Game day? Yeah.
Are we happy that it's a Canucks game day today? Because the Canucks play today and
they're
tomorrow.
Winning tonight, man. The Canucks are going to win tonight. Listen, the last couple days here on the show, it's been some doom and gloom like it looks outside right now. The birds can't even fly. We haven't been able to have some fun. Now we're having some fun. Jeep says it right there as well. Let's talk hockey. That's what I'm excited for today. We are going to talk about the Vancouver Canucks playing against the Seattle Kraken. We are going to be joined by John Stevens as well from the Abbotsford Canucks. They got their home opener starting this weekend, Friday and Saturday against the San Diego Gulls. We'll chat about a little bit of Abbotsford stuff with John, who's a great guy to talk hockey with. His dad, John Stevens Sr., he's been a coach in professional hockey since 1998. I got to ask him about this because I'm doing a little bit of research before, right, about his dad.
Mm-hmm. And
his dad played in the AHL for the 1998-99 season for 25 games. Then he also coached in the AHL in the 1998-99 season. So did he play 25 games and then just went behind the bench after a bit?
The John Garrett special.
Yeah. So we'll check in with John about that. I know he does talk, enjoys talking about his dad, obviously. And his brother actually Nolan Stevens played with John Stevens on the Utica team when that Blues and Utica mixed together a few years ago.
I remember this.
So we'll chat about that because though they're brothers, they are very opposite of the Sedin twins being the exact same player pretty much. One of them was John was the penalty killer and Nolan's the power play specialist. They played together at Northeastern too. So a very, very exciting guest. I love talking hockey with John. So he'll join us at about 1:15. So excited for that. But hey, your camera looks good today on the stream. It looks better.
I genuinely think it's because it's cloudier and darker outside. I think that's why.
Okay, fair enough. We'll get you one of the. I got a fancy new camera here, so
a little toque in the back.
We'll see if we can get you to pay, get Nation Network to pay up and get you one of these. Betway.
Okay, let's get to it here. The Vancouver Canucks
makes $6 every time we say Betway.
The Vancouver Canucks are in Seattle tonight to take on those Seattle Kraken. Chris, Kraken haven't had a regular season win against the Canucks. Is it destiny? Is that fueling the Canucks are going to win tonight, take?
I wonder. Let us know in chat. I think we've seen a little bit in chat already, but people are feeling it. Tonight's the night the Canucks break this winless streak. I mean, 7 games in, we haven't seen a win for the Canucks. It's obviously been tough times. The general manager comes out and speaks yesterday. I don't think that's a thing that changes the way that this team is going to be looking at things, but I do think having that guy come out maybe takes a little bit of pressure off the coach, takes a little bit of pressure off the players. I respect Patrick Alvin for coming out and having that conversation, even though I don't know what the heck he was saying half the damn time. My question that we ran yesterday, we saw how that went. But I do think it takes a little bit of pressure off the coach, takes a little bit of pressure off the players. Hopefully they can go out there and play. But this Kraken team has been good, right? This Kraken team, I'm not saying that they're one of the best teams in the league, but they're sitting at, I think, a 3-3-2 record. Mm-hmm. They just beat the Avalanche on Friday. 3-2. You beat the Avalanche. That's a heck of a performance in that, right? They lost to Chicago 5-4 on Sunday.
Jason Dickinson scored a goal in that game.
Oh, yeah, he was playing good. Well, my massage chair just went out here. They beat Buffalo 5-1 on Tuesday, and we saw what that Buffalo team looked like against the Vancouver Canucks last week.
Yeah.
It was dominant.
Yep.
So the fact that Seattle beat them 5-1 in a dominant win of their own, it's going to be an interesting day. Do you want to get to the lines here? You want to hop right into what we expect to see? This is the lines that we saw at practice yesterday. We didn't have anything tweeted out today because there was some players missing.
Optional skate. It was an optional skate.
Pedersen and Garland, you're right, optional.
So don't read into it. Don't read into it.
No,
optional skate.
Top six, feeling pretty good about the top six tonight. JT Miller, Bo Horvat, Connor Garland on that first line. Andrei Kuzmenko back with Elias Pettersson and Ilya Mikheyev. Top six you feel pretty good about, right? Like I'm feeling decent about the Canucks top six going up against the Seattle Kraken here. I think there's a lot of skill in that top six. Pettersson's been buzzing. Kuzmenko, I'll get to him a little bit later in the show. I got him in my Betway bet of the day. Feeling good about a good Kuzmenko night tonight. So I'm excited to watch Canucks play tonight. And I think that's an interesting sentence to say after everything that we've gotten to at this point in the season. But I am like tonight. I think this is the night where they can show up and actually get a win tonight. This, you lose this game and you go to 0-8. Oh man.
And then the Penguins tomorrow.
Right. And that's the other thing, back to back. They're going to go with Demko, and we'll get to Demko later. I know we got a whole segment down there managing Demko. It's a Netflix special coming next week. Quadrelli is going to chat about that. But we'll talk Demko a little bit later. It's going to be Demko and Jones tonight in the matchup. But I after everything that's happened over the past few days here, I think a couple days off for the Canucks is going to be something that they probably needed, right? Just to kind of reset everything. Hopefully have some things calm down around this organization and go out there and just play tonight. You got 2 goals from JT Miller the other day in their last game. That's a positive sign. He's going to be back on the wing tonight, which I think he was much better in the Canucks' last game. So, yeah, I think they win tonight. Like I do. I'm feeling optimistic about what we're going to see.
Okay. We're not going to start the team tank talk. We're not going to start the draft talk yet. But Softball jumped in the chat and said, speaking of Dickinson, Chicago has to be rooting for a Vancouver tank and a great second-round pick. Look, lottery affects the first round. And someone pointed out to me yesterday, if the Canucks finish 32nd, I don't want to get too into this. Canucks finish 32nd, the new rules, they can only go down 3 spots. So you're guaranteed a pretty good player, like very good player, actually. And then you're, it's by the standings for the rest of the round.
2024 pick, though, so it doesn't matter.
Oh, that's right. Yes. Okay. Well, I wanted to bring it up anyway.
They're hoping they suck next year.
Yes, exactly. Thank you, Softball, for the comment. Okay, I want to touch on
Softball. I see Softball on Twitter all the time. See him in the YouTube chat. Don't see him or her here often.
Yeah, it's good. Okay,
Lisa's asking. Yeah, we got Betway coming. I got a bet. I'm betting on the Canucks winning tonight.
You have the Canucks winning tonight, but I think it's almost, again, we're using the term must win. We've used it like 3 times and they haven't won. And we've seen the aftermath of those losses. They're
meaningful games in October.
Games in October. And again, it's like last year, the Pittsburgh Penguins come in. I believe it was also on a Friday night.
Right.
The day before Jim Benning got fired and the Canucks cleaned house was when a jersey hit the ice on a Friday, or maybe it was Saturday.
Sure.
Saturday night game. Canucks got 3 days coming up after this. 3 days off.
Can I tell a funny story about this? I don't know.
Sure.
I think I've told this on the podcast before. But that day that everything happened, I was on the play-by-play for the Abbotsford Canucks on the Sunday as everything is coming down.
Oh, yes. I remember this. And you were like, I see Ryan Johnson being spoken to.
Yeah. I was like, I'm sitting, like I'm in the booth there with James Sabalski, and I'm doing color for the Abbotsford Canucks that game. And I'm like, oh, geez. Like everyone in the Canucks what am I trying to say? Box in the Canucks box. They all got up and started moving, and I'm like, what's going on here? Like, then I see Ryan Johnson on the phone. Everybody's on the phone scrambling. PR's all running around, and then we're in like the first period, like 10 minutes in, and everything starts breaking. Green's gone, Benning's gone, all this stuff's changing. Boudreaux's in, and the whole the play-by-play for that Abbotsford Canucks game. I got to go back and watch some of it because it basically just turned into a podcast of chatting about the Vancouver Canucks and not any play-by-play being done of that Abbotsford game. It was just like absolute madness on the broadcast with me and Seaball there.
Yeah, I remember that. It's hard to believe that was just a year ago.
Yeah.
Right?
Not even.
And again, we got into it yesterday, Patrick Alvin's comments about the Boudreaux bump. We're not going to do it again today, but man, oh man, it ain't pretty right now for the Canucks. And look, if you lose both of these games, and again, don't want to date ourselves too much here, But we both, I think, think that they're gonna win against
Yeah,
Kraken.
Mr. Bus Driver's got a good one in the chat here. Honestly, this is the best game to win. It would be funny if we can make fun of Kraken fans if they still lose to the Canucks.
And they haven't won a game. They haven't won a game against the Canucks haven't won a game, but the Kraken was what I meant.
This rivalry, man. You got to build up this rivalry. This is a good time.
The Cascadia clash.
That comes into the that would absolutely come into the rivalry of the Canucks being able to break their 0-7 streak of losing to start of the season against this team. This is what you need. Do not forget a playoff series. Let's break a 7-game losing streak against this team. That's good for business. That's good for the rivalry.
That's right. And look, the Seattle Kraken, we've talked about it, and I like my Mariners, but we've talked about it more so off the record, you and I, not off the record, but not while we're recording. But like Seattle's got got some sports teams down there. They got more than just hockey, right? Yep. And aren't the Sonics coming back soon?
No, don't start talking to Sonics. Lisa's already going to hear that.
What I'm saying is that they've got to compete with the Seahawks, right? Now they've got to compete with actually a competitive Mariners team, which I don't think they had to think about when they were talking about their plans. But look, like Seattle, the Mariners sold out a lot of their games going down the stretch run last year. They sold out their home opener. They sold out that Friday night game against the Houston Astros, right? When it was starting to look like they could actually make some noise. And look, people believe in the Mariners now. And 20-year playoff drought, you're going to lose some fans. Looks like they've regained quite a few. So what I'm trying to say here is clock's ticking for the Kraken to kind of put their stamp in the city.
The Kraken are putting their stamp on the city, though, man. I saw the crowd in that AHL game that they just played against the Abbotsford Canucks. There was, not only just people there to watch hockey or wearing Seattle's
that's their first game. That's the novelty still, and that's my point. Is they had
the second season of pro hockey.
That's the AHL team's first game that you're talking about. I'm talking about. It's the novelty of a new franchise, then that's already starting to wear off because they didn't expect to be that bad last year.
What I'm saying is, like, in the crowd, there's Kraken jerseys everywhere, Kraken t-shirts. They're not just showing up for the novelty. Obviously, there was a lot of Firebird stuff, which is their minor league team, the Coachella Valley or whatever. But like they are engaged. Like Seattle, the Kraken are doing well, I think, in Seattle. Like I think even after one season of having like not a very productive winning season, they've come in and I think they are capturing that fan base more than you think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's talk about the lines a little bit.
Okay.
Before we get to John. John's going to be on in just a minute here. Leading the team right now is former Canuck Jared McCann. But I'm excited tonight to see Matty Beniers. I watched a lot of him in Michigan. He played obviously with Canucks prospect Jacob Truscott, who, by the way, in his own right, ripping it up. I don't know if I've talked about Truscott a lot on the prospects report, but the Canucks, I feel like, have a stronger top six. We've said that in a handful of games so far this season as well, but this is where you need to take advantage of it, right? I mean, some young players, some players that, and they're an upgraded team, right? This Kraken team. From what we saw last year, they are much better. Burakovsky adds quite a bit. Bjornstrand, obviously, it's an interesting situation on how they picked up these players, but that is what you can do when you have cap space. They did improve from what they saw last year. I think they are a better team. I don't know how hard they're going to push for a playoff spot, but I mean, a lot of it is going to depend on the guy like Beniers being able to play as a top six forward and right now be kind of used as a first line guy. I mean, this Kraken team is going to be fun to watch. We saw the speed that they had in that preseason game against the Canucks. They ran the Canucks out of the building, it felt like, with the speed. And I think there's a lot of forwards in this group where, they're not the big and heavy guys, but some of these players are bigger bodies that just have a lot of speed. I do think it's going to be an exciting back and forth game. And I think, speaking of Betway, talk about that later in the show, but I think you want to hit the over in this game. I think this is going to be a decent amount of goals, and that'll probably get to you talking about Thatcher Demko a little bit later on in the show. We'll get to that as well. But tonight's matchup for the goaltenders, I think there's going to be a lot of scoring. I think it's going to be that's the other thing too. Like, I think the Canucks will win tonight. I think they have to after going 0-7. Because if they lose tonight, I think they're losing at Pittsburgh again tomorrow with the back-to-backs. But to me, it's like, this is going to be a fun game no matter what. I think it's going to be a fun game back and forth. And if the Canucks show up and end up having the scoring chances that you hope they can against a team like this, I mean, it'll be a lot of fun tonight, no matter the case.
What a smart pickup Oliver Bjorkstrand was for this team, eh? Like, he's leading them. I don't know about in scoring. I read today that he's leading them in
the stats
there,
shots. Alex. Pull up the stats, Alex.
He's leading them in shots. Like, what a smart pickup that was for the Seattle Kraken. And again, like, you kind of expected them to make more.
With cap space, you can do these type of things, right? I mean, and I think Seattle obviously didn't have the season that you wanted to come into the league. They're no Nothing like the Vegas Golden Knights in their run, which was just ridiculous in its own right.
Yeah.
But good run. And Burakovsky, McCann leading the way right now. So good stuff.
Bjorkstrand with a low shooting percentage, but 4 points on the season.
But at the bottom there, Shane Wright, 651. He's a healthy scratch tonight. Free Shane Wright.
Is Shane Wright getting sent back down to the OHL, do you think?
Well, yeah. I mean,
because that mark's coming, right?
5 or 6 games there.
The 10 game mark is the mark that, you can't let a guy hit or else it burns a year of his ELC. The Kraken can send Shane Wright back to the OHL. What's he gaining there is kind of what I come back to, right? Like,
in the O or in the NHL?
In the OHL. In the NHL, at least he's practicing with NHL guys, and he's still getting games, right? And, the Kraken's games have been, I don't know, like, I'd be curious to see how much ice time was available, because he's not on penalty kill, he's not on the power play, so, he's only playing even strength. Like, remember, Vasily Podkolzin didn't get a lot of ice time at the start of last year, right?
Better than
rookie
6
season.
minutes, though.
Well, not by much. There were games where he'd play 7 minutes, and that was, I know it's not his average ice time, but we're 7 games in. I don't think it's time to say, okay, well, he's obviously going back because of that.
We'll see what happens. We'll talk more Shane Wright in a little bit, but our guest is ready here. John Stevens from the Abbotsford Canucks set to join us here. John, are you from Abbotsford Center? We talked to Chase last week. He was in the stands. You're in the locker room, it looks like.
Yeah, I'm one of the visitor rooms. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely, man. We're excited to get you on. I mean, a big weekend, obviously, for Abbotsford and fans out there in the Valley. What are you expecting? I was looking at ticket sales right before we started recording here, and looking like it's going to be another packed building. I remember home opener weekend last year was awesome. I'm expecting you to kind of be looking at somewhat of the same, just a full building here to open up with the Abbotsford Canucks season at home.
Yeah, we're all definitely pretty excited. I think last year we even had the COVID restrictions, and it still felt like it was a packed house. So we love playing at home. Our fans are great, and we're all excited to get going.
How comfortable are you feeling now, John? This is now, I guess, parts of your 4th season with this Canucks organization. How much does it feel like home now, just being with this organization, really?
Yeah, it definitely does. I mean, you just get to know all the people in the organization, and just being here for another year. A couple teammates now I've played with for a couple years, so I've really enjoyed my time in the band organization, whether it was Utica or Abbotsford, and it's been a good place to call home.
So, with the move to Abbotsford, how have you enjoyed it? How have you enjoyed the city so far?
Oh, it's great. I mean, being in the up here, we've been our team likes to golf, and this year we've been actually getting into fishing too. So early in the year we had some time. It's nice to explore the valley. It's beautiful out here, especially when it's nice out.
Yeah, I've had lots of pictures showing up on Instagram with these fish. Like, are you guys into fishing, or were you kind of like, did you like to fish before you came to Abbotsford and be able to see the Fraser River and stuff like that?
Yeah, I did like to fish, but I've never fished in these types. I've never fished for salmon and stuff like that. But Lockwood and Waters are both really good fishermen, so they've been kind of showing us the way.
Who's got the biggest one so far? We saw Chase Waters, the salmon he caught, but who's got the biggest one so far?
Yeah, Chase had a big one. Hammerlocks, they've both been killing it.
What about Vinny? I'm sure the stories must just be wild. I did a story last year for the AHL.com about fishing and stuff, because I thought it was a fun story. And like Vinny, probably 45 minutes straight just talking about the lobster fishing. I've seen he's been out there fishing as well.
Yeah, we've been giving him some slack because he talks a lot about fishing, but we haven't seen him catch much yet. So we expect a little more out of him.
Hey, John, I wanted to ask about the 2020-21 season was an interesting one with the Blues organization and you guys mixing together in Utica. You played obviously with your brother at Northeastern, but was it kind of what was it like to be able to play professional hockey games with your brother Nolan as part of the team back then?
Yeah, it was really cool. Obviously, it was something we had done for 3 years at school, but I mean to do it at the professional level, and we ended up living together that year. So it was a really fun experience, and it all just happened pretty quick because it was right before camp. Their team opted out. He texted me, he's like, "Hey, I think we're coming to Utica," and then just like that, a week later had a place lined up, and we're driving down there. So that was a lot of fun.
Well, your offense has kind of changed quite a bit since that season. We're seeing you put up a lot more points, but back then, like when I was watching that, it looked like you and your brother were like yin and yang. Like he was the power play point producer, and you were the penalty killer guy. I'm curious and with your dad being professional coach, did he lean more towards defense or offense? Like which game did your dad like more of that season?
I don't know. I think he likes them both, and I think that's why we always played on a line together at school. I think we kind of complement each other pretty well. He was always more of a scorer, more of an offensive player growing up, and I was kind of always played more of that 200-foot game, and maybe or not care more, but did you focus more on the defensive side of the puck?
With when you talk about that defensive side, and that's something that I think we've seen from you with Utica, with Abbotsford. Well, what happened last year, man? 43 points in 68 games. I know you like doubled your totals from your AHL season before. Was it just opportunity, or were you like actually thinking that there was big parts of your game that took big steps last season?
I think it was a little bit of both. Obviously, there's a lot of opportunity just with the year, and we had a lot of guys called up and hurt, and there's a lot of holes in the lineup. So I got to play in more offensive situations, and then it was something too that I'd been focusing on, where I felt like I played well in years past, but I thought there was a lot more to my game than I could provide, and just that offensive, I thought I could take another step. So it was something I was kind of focusing on coming into the year, and then the staff here and the guys I played with just did a great job, kind of supporting me and putting me in a good spot to succeed.
You guys have a younger group this year. Are you somebody that kind of, embraces some sort of leadership role? I know you're still pretty young, so it's weird to get that question, but, you got a younger group. Guys got guys like Klimovich, Seelovs, all those guys. Do you kind of embrace a leadership role on this team now?
Yeah, it's kind of a weird transition where you don't even realize, but you're slowly transitioning to one of the older guys in the team. So I kind of find myself doing that, and I think a lot of our older guys kind of just go about their business, but we have a lot of guys that are just good pros here. So I think it's good to with a young team to kind of just show guys day in, day out what it takes to get your body ready and just to be ready to play that full slate of games. So I guess it's something I don't really think about too much, but definitely kind of feel that I've slid into that role.
How do you feel about the team this year? Obviously, last year there was, a really good run to end the regular season. What you guys did at the end there to get yourself into a higher playoff spot was damn impressive. And then obviously the playoffs, from chatting with players and even Ryan Johnson about things, like obviously things didn't go your way in the playoffs. Is there a hunger for the guys that are returning to really make a good playoff run this year? And with those young guys, like how do you kind of put that onto them as well? Because they're going to be a big part of this team getting the playoffs as well.
Yeah, I think we had a really fun run last year, but when you really think about the year, it just feels like we left a lot on the table. We had a good team, and we didn't go nearly as far as we thought we could have. So I think it's a big focus coming in. And we do have a young team, so it'll take some time for some of these guys to adjust. But we have a lot of really good guys on and off the ice, and we're just trying to focus on the detail day in, day out, because that stuff pays off. It's hard to just switch on and off, and you kind of got to build that foundation all year. So it's definitely something we're focused on this year.
Okay, before we wrap up here, a lot of places to eat out in Abbotsford. Have you found a place that's kind of your go-to that you've been like, wow, I didn't expect to find a place this good out here?
Yeah, we go to, when my girlfriend comes out, we go to Balanced quite a bit. Really like that place in downtown. And then like just the staple Cactus Club. Just being from the States, we don't get that too often. So that's probably my staple.
John, I remember last year hearing, was it Mikey that was living with you or Will? I remember it was one of the two.
Yeah, me and Mikey were roommates last year.
Mikey was saying you're a big, you're big with the TB12 process and you're big into the health thing. Do you put any of that onto some of the young guys, or is that something that you try and keep to yourself?
No, whenever, guys. I'm pretty into the body stuff, and I read that book last year, and I always carry around a big jug of water with me, so the guys always give me stuff. But I try to. But it's pretty funny because they're all on me all last year. But this year I come back and half the guys are walking around with their own water jug. So it's good to see.
Now, when you were living with Mikey, we chatted with Mikey actually last year about the living arrangement, and he was telling us about how he had that Jamie Oliver five ingredient cookbook. Who did most of the cooking there, and was Mikey any good at cooking?
Yeah, Mikey's actually a good cook. He would cook a good pasta sauce, and I think we complement each other well. If one guy cooked, the other guy did the dishes, and vice versa. So we had a good.
Well, hey, John, what's kind of the mindset? This is the last one from us here. Just the mindset you guys going into home opener weekend. This Abbotsford Canucks team, what should they be known for when you guys are at home here? What do you guys want to be known for as a hockey team just on the ice, especially in your home barn?
I think we want to be a hungry, kind of fast-paced team, hard on pucks, and a team that just does all the little things right. So I think we've had a decent start to the year, but we're kind of pushing to keep getting better, and just you kind of play that kind of fast-paced, hard-nosed, exciting game.
Absolutely. Well, John, appreciate you taking the time. Excited to see those green jerseys back on the ice at the Abbotsford Center. They absolutely pop in that arena, and I know the fans, like I said, the tickets look like they're sold out. It's going to be a blast out there on Friday and Saturday.
Yeah, sounds good, guys. Thanks for having me.
You betcha. There he is, John Stevens, joining us here from the Abbotsford Canucks, assistant captain on the team. Great guy to have around the room. Like we said, he grew up in hockey with his dad being around the game for so long. I forgot to ask him about
we didn't even
his
ask him
dad.
about that. It was a good chat, though.
Yeah.
Got to talk Cactus
chat.
Club, which is a selling point. That further confirms what I've heard behind the scenes, that Cactus Club is absolutely a selling point for free agents. So don't talk about the negative media. Cactus Club is going to drag this franchise out from the dirt.
I'm more of an Earls guy. I like the Earls stuff a little bit better.
Same owners now. And they're keeping Earls. I think it was, the Cactus owners bought Earls, but they're not getting rid of Earls and changing them to Cactus Clubs. They're keeping it. I love it. You know what? You go to Cactus
The happy
Club.
hours are hard to beat. Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah.
They really lean into the happy hours.
Well,
happy hours are the thing to do.
I go to Cactus. I get the grilled chicken sandwich.
Yep.
You know what I'm talking about? Grilled.
Peanut allergy, yep.
Yeah, grilled chicken sandwich, not the fried one. The fried chicken sandwich. Tell you what.
That's my biggest bugaboo in life, trying to get rid of it. Don't order a chicken sandwich every time I go see. Every single restaurant I go to is chicken sandwich. That's why when I went to Joe Forte's the other day, shout out to them again. I'm still waiting on that free meal. I still have to pay the whole thing. That's why I got the pork chop, because normally I get the same thing every time. Let's get a pork chop.
I don't hate Joey's, but Jono jumped in the chat and said it's better than Joey's.
You and I, when I first moved over here, we would go to Joey's. We
went like a couple times.
Parmesan or truffle fries, whichever the ones are.
Well, yeah, Cactus has better truffle fries too. Just saying.
Okay. Let's get to your Demko stuff. I know you wanted to dive into it here. Which, by the way, expected goaltenders. We mentioned it a little bit earlier tonight. Canucks and Kraken, 7 o'clock. You're going to see Martin Jones, the BC kid, who, listen, I've been chatting with Kevin Woodley. Well, you know what? I haven't been chatting with him. He's been chatting at me at the freaking games. He won't shut up about Martin Jones having a bounce-back season. And Martin Jones, not the greatest numbers to start this year, but, I mean, he has been kind of looking like the starter in Seattle this season. And Woodley says there's a lot of things that you can actually like from watching Martin Jones play. He'll match up against Thatcher Demko today. We're looking at Martin Jones's numbers in front of us here. Still letting up quite a few goals. He's had a couple of decent games, had a good game against Buffalo there. But that's kind of interesting as well, looking at that stat against Buffalo. They only gave up 16 shots in that entire game. Like this Kraken team locked it down against the Sabres in that one. And even just looking at the shot totals throughout this game, you look at this and they haven't given up more than 30 shots in a game. They're going to be locking things down. This is a much better team than they were last year, folks. Like they skate well. They spend a lot of time in your offensive zone. And like Moff just said, yeah, North Van kid, Martin Jones, good kid. He's having a bounce back year according to Woodley.
Yeah, he is. But stats are right there.
But I know you want to get to Thatcher Demko. We got Demko stats too. We'll get Alex to pull that up here. Alex having a better day today too. He got his guest on there. I can see him smiling probably on the other end of this right now. I know Alex is having a good day when the guest shows up and doesn't have a problem. Here's Thatcher Demko stats in this season.
For the podcast listeners, it ain't good, folks. It's bad. Thatcher Demko is playing below average right now. We never thought we'd say this. Now, he put up his highest.
Can I get this right off the bat? Because I'm going to let you do your goalie rant. You can do this for 7 minutes. My throat's already getting sore. He's given up at least 3 goals in every game, right? Unfortunate setup. Giving up 6 against Washington here, but I'll let you have your time with Demko here. I'm going to take my throat spray here.
Alex, I don't know if you have it, but the napping Faber, just fill his camera with that. That'd be great, because I'm going to get started here. I'm going to get started.
I got my throat spray here. Tough. I hope people can't tell. I got a tough little throat today.
Yeah, as you spray your throat.
I've been snoring up a storm late at night, and I don't know what's going on here in my throat. I got to get the CPAP.
We did talk about it.
Yeah, then I go and look at CPAPs. They're $1,600.
Well, hey, before you do that, remember the listener that said once we start exercising, it might help? I snore a lot too. Maybe I got to get back in the gym. I'll go with you. November.
I'm starting November 1st. Yeah.
I'm going with you.
Okay, Demko. Let's go. What do you got?
Yeah, let's talk about Thatcher Demko. Alex, get up the sleeping Faber cam. Let's talk about Thatcher Demko, because, folks, Thatcher Demko is getting the start tonight in Seattle. The Vancouver Canucks haven't decided if they're going to go back to him tomorrow or if they're going to give Spencer Martin a start. Now, this is a flawed thing for a couple of reasons, and I'd say the biggest one is that Demko hasn't quite had his A game yet, but I don't even want to say it's the biggest reason because there's multiple reasons here. And as you can tell, I don't have anything written down, folks, so I'm going to rattle this off the top of the head because I don't like to write things down when I'm reading them on air. But Thatcher Demko gets the start tonight. The biggest problem that I have with this, Chris, is that Thatcher Demko last season, he didn't break down. Like, he was very adamant that it wasn't a result of playing too much, but you don't want your starter to play as much as the Canucks needed Demko to play last year. I understand that they had just had 2 days off and that there's 3 days coming off 3 days off coming up after this back-to-back. I understand all that. I completely get that. And I understand that's probably part of the thought process. And again, they haven't actually decided to start Martin tomorrow or Demko tomorrow. They haven't announced it yet. But for them to say that they haven't decided yet and that is day-to-day, they've added tomorrow's starter to the day-to-day list, knock on wood, of course. But they said it was day-to-day, that decision to go with Demko or go with Martin. You got to let your backup play. We saw last year when the Canucks were in a position where they thought they had to win every game, and let's be honest, they did, where they couldn't trust Yaroslav Halak at any point. I'm not saying that this is what caused it, but not playing a lot and having a lot of stops in between games isn't good for any goaltender, and it's hard to get into a rhythm. Now, that being said, I did chat with Spencer Martin ahead of this season just about, you've seen how the backups get used here. Do you feel like you're well equipped to handle multiple days off and, weeks off in between games? And he said, look at what I did last year in Abbotsford, right? Like, when he was in Abbotsford, he got like 3 starts through the first 2 months or whatever it was. He went long stretches of time without playing in any games. I'm not saying that that's justification. I'm just trying to provide all the parts of this story here. I still have a problem with it at the end of the day. Now, I think the biggest problem is that it shows a distrust in Martin, right? Canucks have 2 points on the season, folks. One of those points came in a Spencer Martin start. Ask me how many of those have come in Thatcher Demko starts.
How many points have come in Thatcher Demko starts?
1. How many points are left on the board in Thatcher Demko starts? I'm not even trying to turn this into a ripping on Demko thing because it's the last thing I want to do. But let's be honest here. We've talked about it. The fans can see it. The analytics are showing it. Demko hasn't had his A game yet. Now, that being said, had his best start of the season, both statistically and eye test, wherever you want to call it, against the Carolina Hurricanes. I believe he had a .923 save percentage, maybe .924 in that start against the Hurricanes. Canucks played better in front of him, but Demko was also better. He was giving them some saves that he just wasn't making through the first 6 games of the season. He was, poised to steal them a win. But again, Carolina is such a good team, right? And again, it shows how far the Canucks are, how far off they are from being able to actually compete with contenders and contending teams that even when their goaltender is on, they still couldn't get the win, right? And I'm interested to see what they do in Seattle tonight. Again, I've said it for the past 3 days. The turnaround's coming. I'm with you that it comes tonight. Like, I think Demko and net, it comes tonight. Now, the problem becomes this team looking at it and saying, oh, Demko's back. Let's start riding him again and getting some wins here. Let's string it together and, play the wheels off him again. You're going to hurt Demko. And again, I don't want this to turn into Demko deserves better than this, blah, blah, blah. Spencer Martin's someone else to think about here, right? Like, give Spencer Martin some starts. He's done nothing to not earn himself some starts. And again, Softball even jumped in the chat here and said, why not showcase Martin as a prospective trade chip? Sure, whatever you want. Like, Jono jumped in and said, let's get Seelovs in there for the memes. I'm okay
Silvos.
with that. Silvos. Silvos, they did it right. I know what you're
Silvos, yeah.
Though. I know.
That's the memes.
My point, Chris. My point is that Thatcher Demko getting this start tonight is fine in a vacuum because they're probably going to win this game. And again,
like 2 days off.
Might be, 2 days off, 3 days coming up. I understand that. I still don't like the idea of back-to-back starts for Demko this early in the season. Like, what it really comes down to, Chris, the biggest problem is that they're playing for their season 7 games into the year. If the Canucks are whatever, like 3-3 or 3-3-1 or whatever it is, if they've got some wins, Demko's not playing a back-to-back. It's not even a question. So again, this all goes back to my belief that even if they turn this around, you shouldn't be using it as fuel of being like, okay, let's buy in and let's run it back again next year.
Yeah, because you know what? Like, to me, a real big way to bounce back. And listen, I don't think that, like, it's going to be very tough for the Canucks to bounce back and get into a playoffs. But bouncing back off of an 0-7, if you're able to get a win tonight against the Seattle Kraken with Thatcher Demko, and then come back the next night and get a win against the Pittsburgh Penguins with your backup in net, that does a lot for the morale of the team. If that's, I think that does more for the team if it is, instead of Demko going back to back and relying on a lot on your goaltender already this early in the season, like you said.
And Sterling Wilson jumped in the chat and said, announce the rebuild and stop taxing Demko. It goes back to being in this weird limbo of win now or rebuild. And it's true. It's absolutely true. And we're not getting into this today. It's a game day.
Yeah,
we're not
happy
going to get
day
into
today,
it, but
Sterling, nice try.
Yeah. Well, we're not getting into
that would be actually, if if the letter came out saying, this is what I said. I stand by what I said yesterday. If something came out and announced that this is the way that the team's going, here's the plan, I'd love that.
And
I think that would be the best news.
Lock in the Crease, Giftmaster General, jumped in the chat also and said, Daryl Sutter starting Vladar once a week, even with Jacob Markstrom on his roster. Load management matters, folks. And I understand the Canucks need to win these games. I understand they're playing for their season somehow 7 games into the year. I understand Bruce Boudreau might be coaching for his job, right? Like, he doesn't have a contract beyond this year. Not even in this context of, he might lose his job now, because I don't get the sense the Canucks want to make a move with the coach. So. Again, I don't think anybody in the market really wants that, to be honest with you. There might be some.
Just to clarify, and we have someone in the chat saying, like, you're fine with Demko going tonight, right? But no matter what, it should be Martin tomorrow, especially this early in the season, in my eyes.
Absolutely. Yeah. Get Martin his starts. Get him the reps. Like, he didn't play poorly in that loss against Columbus. He was fine. He had one mistake that resulted in a goal. One. He was fine.
Yeah. He's no Colin Delia, I'll tell you that.
Delia, 700 goals, said. Yeah. We're not going to get into the rebuild talk, but
I do Hockey have talk today, baby.
Yeah, I do have some thoughts on this. All I want to say is national media jumping in and being like, this market can't handle a rebuild.
It's been wild to see. Listen, normally when we wrap up this show, I'm not a big fan of Tim and Friends now, it's called.
Yep.
But it's always on at 2:00. So I put it on the TV normally as I'm like cutting the clips and stuff. It's been interesting to watch the Canucks be the lead story in hockey. It sucks that this is what it's taken. It'd be cool when the Canucks are like a fun team to watch and things are going good to actually have them even mentioned on some of these Sportsnet shows. But they are the top story for everything right now. So at least you can look at that as a positive. The Canucks are being talked about by the national media for once. That's great.
Yeah. Jeep jumped in the chat, said it's hard to be too critical of Demko and the forwards, except Miller, when our D has been so terrible.
I tell you, Jeep's having a good day in the chat.
Well, hang on. I want to respond to this because I fully agree. Like, I fully agree that these losses aren't on Thatcher Demko. All I'm saying is he hasn't played at his normal, way above average level, and I think he's about to do it. Like, I think we're about to see Demko turn it around, and I think he's about to start doing it. So I think that's what my issue is, Chris, because you're kind of, one, counting on that, and two, you're saying this is the only thing that's going to save our season, but that's what got you here in the first place. Relying on this goaltending is the problem for this team right now. And again, we're not getting into it. We're not getting into the Bedard talk today. I'm done. You give us the Betway wrap of whatever
Brian's
we talk
pushing.
about.
Brian's pushing for it. He wants to go down that road. Hamster wheel talking. Vancouver Generals. He's trying to push us into the.
We'll
not
do
today.
It again.
We're having a good day. We're talking hockey, baby.
Yep.
Canucks and Kraken, 7:00.
Canucks Kraken. We'll see how it goes. Penguins tomorrow. We'll have stuff to say tomorrow, folks. We're here tomorrow, and then we'll be back on Monday to recap it all.
Yeah. Tell you what. Tomorrow, if they lose tonight, oh man, we're coming at it tomorrow again.
Prospect report, and you do Betway.
Little cough there. So I'm working through things over here. So gotta get this CPAP going. All right. Not a lot of prospect stuff today. Elias Pettersson ended up playing in the SHL again. I'll tell you what, this kid, he just got named to the Four Season. Did I talk about this yesterday? Did I talk about this? Four Nations, Elias Pettersson. He's going to be playing there. So excited for that. He got some SHL minutes today. 4 minutes and 44 seconds last time I checked, but that was late in the third. He might have got a couple more minutes, but just good to see Pettersson get a chance to play. I like when he goes, like, he'll play during the week a little bit with the SHL team, then he'll go back down to J20, play like 28 minutes a night. No, Matt took 2 tests. I'm all good. But just watching him be able to play in the SHL is obviously a huge win. And then getting that J20 minutes is great to see. I don't think I have any. Oh, no, I do have a little prospects thing for you. Season opener for Harvard tomorrow. So this is, they've been playing a lot of exhibition and preseason kind of stuff. This is when they actually start to kick things off. It'll be a big tell to see where Koskendvo sits, because it was weird in the first exhibition game. He's the third goalie, and then he starts the second game, then he's back up for another. So they've really been, I think, testing out all the 3 goalies that they have at Harvard this year. So for the season opener, it'll be interesting to see if he's the starter. That would be huge. I don't really expect it. What I'm hoping is that he's the backup and is able to kind of push for some spots. for some starts down the road as he's playing, but not a lot to get to in the prospects report. It was a slow day. Thursdays are normally pretty slow because they'll get going on Friday with some Allsvenskan tomorrow. And I'm keeping an eye on Lucas Forsell, who was loaned to the Allsvenskan League, to see when he gets into the lineup for his new team and see how many minutes he plays in Allsvenskan. It should be quite a bit and a good opportunity for that kid. All right. Betway. Here we go. I got 3 bets today. Lots of them. Lots of bets coming up here. Some prop bets. Also, like I'm saying, when we've been riding with it, I feel like the Canucks are going to win. Okay. I think the Canucks are going to win 4-3. Plus 2,500 on the bet for that. So I'm a big score guy, right? I like to guess the score, never get it right. But plus 2,500, take your bet there. I also think Andrei Kuzmenko is going to score first at plus 1,600. Love those odds as well. I think him playing with Pettersson, him getting a chance on PP1, plus 1,600 is a very generous give here on the player scoring first. And it's not first of the Canucks to score, first in the entire game. So they got to score. Then the final one I like, this is probably your best chance at actually hitting, is Elias Pettersson to score at any time and the Canucks to win. So that's plus 285. Betway. So those are my bets today.
Great job. You know what I'm looking at right now? BC Lions tickets.
I just bought Lions tickets this morning.
Are you going to the playoffs?
Yeah, I told you this.
Oh, why did I not? I completely missed that.
I know
you didn't tell me that.
Yeah, I told you, and then literally when I told you right before the show started, you said I said it, and you looked over at me. You said I got to go pee. I said okay. All
right, you can tell I don't remember this at all. Was I working? Was I in the middle of working?
No, we were chatting, okay. And then I said it, and you said I got to go pee.
All right, whatever. We'll wrap it up.
I bought tickets. I'm in the party zone. You were in the party zone last time.
I think that's where I'm gonna try and go again.
Yeah, they're not that bad. They're like $40 or something.
Oh, it's all really, really fairly priced. I think they're gonna start selling in the upper bowl.
They were.
I'm actually waiting for the upper bowl.
Are you gonna go upper bowl?
I think so.
Yeah, I mean, you get an opportunity. I've been in upper bowl, or no, I haven't been there, but I've been there when it's open for rugby sevens because it opens up. They get enough people in their rugby sevens, it goes up.
Mm-hmm.
Jono's got his tickets. It's gonna be fun. I like the support for the Canucks team here, or I mean the local team here, the Lions.
Yeah, Canucks are hoping to get some support soon here.
I don't know about that.
Okay, we'll wrap it up there. For my co-host.
Oh, no.
What?
Quickly here. Big game tonight, man. Wrap it up on that note. What's your score prediction? I said 4-3.
I mean, score prediction.
Anybody in the chat? Score prediction. Do the Canucks win tonight?
5-2 Kraken.
Oh, geez, man.
If I have to predict the score,
we're supposed to have fun here today.
I could see the Canucks winning, but I'll still say 5-2 Kraken. Also,
quickly get it in the chat.
My girlfriend's watching.
Guess in the chat.
My girlfriend's watching, and she just texted and said no upper bowl. So I guess I'm not sitting upper bowl.
Yeah, my fiance, she doesn't want to sit upper bowl.
Yeah, I don't know what this is about.
I've only gone to Canucks games with my fiance and been in the lower bowl. She hasn't upper bowl's not. Upper bowl's good too. It's a different view of the game.
It's a fine. Yeah, they don't know.
I was upper bowl, game 7, Canucks Blackhawks, slay the dragon.
That's
best
right.
seats I've ever sat in right there.
Yeah.
Great view of Burrows jumping up.
Yeah. Okay, we'll wrap it up there. For my co-host, Chris Faber, our technical producer, Alex Lard, my name is Dave Quadrelli. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of the Canucks Conversation.
Tonight's the night. Canucks win.
Thanks for listening to Canucks Conversation, delivered by DoorDash. Hit the subscribe button to never miss an episode.
How about keep it to a thank you, Jim?